Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. What if the most powerful strategy in professional trading isn't found, on a chart or in some fancy algorithm, but actually deep within your own mind? Today, we're unlocking what feels like a profound blueprint for peak performance. We're drawing on these timeless principles, the ones that drove success for, well, historical titans, really. And we're showing you how to engineer your mental game for an undeniable edge in the high-stakes world of professional trading.
It's so true. We often coach traders who are technically brilliant, amazing with numbers and strategies, yet they stumble. And why? Because their internal operating system, it just isn't aligned to the market. It isn't just a battlefield of data points. It's like a mirror. It reflects your psychological state right back at you. So this deep dive, it's really about extracting insights from classic works on achievement, sure, but then applying them directly. How can you, the trader, hardwire your mind for consistent success in the markets?
Yeah, and this isn't about like magical thinking or just wishing for profits. It's about disciplined mental engineering. We're going to explore how these leading figures throughout history approach their biggest challenges. Think of massive, daunting goals. And then you'll see how those exact same principles can fundamentally transform a trader's psychology, their whole approach to the market, turning that uncertainty, which is everywhere in trading, into a catalyst for growth. Let's uncover this blueprint. Okay, so one of the first things that really jumped out from our deep dive material, it immediately challenges how we typically react to market volatility. The idea is your life bends to your assumptions. Now, on the surface, that might sound a bit like just, positive thinking. But what does it truly imply about our internal operating system, especially when you're facing the kind of chaos professional traders navigate, well, daily?
That's a really crucial distinction, yeah. It's definitely not about being naively optimistic or ignoring risk. When we coach top-tier traders, we often see this pattern, especially after a string of losses or maybe when facing some high-impact news event. The subconscious mind of a trader who's struggling, it might start to assume failure is coming or expect the market to turn sharply against them, this unconscious bracing. It can lead to hesitant entries or jumping out of good trades too early or sometimes just freezing up completely. But what if? What if you could consciously choose to operate from the deliberate assumption that everything is working out for you, even right in the middle of significant setbacks?
So for a professional trader, this isn't just about toughing out a losing streak or a big drawdown. It's about fundamentally reframing it. It sounds like cultivating this deep internal conviction that says, the outcome is certain, the door is already open, all I have to do is walk through it. How does that shift actually show up in their trading behavior, on the screen?
Oh, it's transformative, really. Think about Henry Ford for a second. He was building factories when the automobile was still largely seen as, a novelty? A rich person's toy, maybe? Not a necessity. He didn't just hope the market would appear, he assumed it would, and he built based on that assumption. Or Thomas Edison, the stories. Thousands of experiments. He didn't see them as failures, right? They were just necessary steps because he assumed the light bulb was inevitable. He knew it was coming. For a trader, this translates into remaining remarkably calmer under pressure, being more patient, maybe waiting for that exact technical setup to appear, not just something close, and executing their trades with real conviction, even if the market's first little wiggle doesn't immediately say you're right. It's about detaching your internal posture, your certainty, from those external short-term results. You're leading your mind, not letting the market's noise drag it around.
Wow. It's almost as if the challenges themselves, the setbacks in trading, those moments where maybe nothing makes sense, they're actually building the exact version of you required for the dream you've been asking for.
Yeah.
That's an incredibly powerful way to reframe adversity, isn't it?
It really is.
Okay, so if operating for these powerful assumptions sets your internal state, what then guides your actions through the market's constant shifts and turns? Our deep dive next focuses on something the material calls definiteness of purpose. And it describes this as a quality that utterly separates those who merely wish for success from those who actively build it. This isn't some vague desire for wealth, is it? It's described as a crystal clear, unwavering, almost unshakable aim.
Yeah, and in the trading world, this is absolutely critical, non-negotiable, really. So many aspiring traders, especially early on, they chase, a dozen different strategies, day trading this week, swing trading the next, or they jump between markets, forex, futures, stocks, mastering none of them. They often mistake movement for momentum and just plain activity for achievement, busy work, without a clear, deeply ingrained purpose, a why that goes beyond just, I want to make money. Their discipline, their habits, they just collapse under pressure. Eventually, they lack that anchor, the thing that pulls them back to their plan when volatility spikes and fear kicks in.
Right. So for a professional trader, this means it's not just about having a profit target for the day or the week. It's about having a why that's so profoundly burned into their subconscious. It guides every single decision, every trade setup they take, every moment of self-discipline, whether that means rigorously sticking to a back-tested strategy, even if it feels uncomfortable, or managing their risk precisely trade after trade, or even putting in the hours for continuous learning off-screen. It's knowing what you are here to do beyond the immediate P&L flashing on the screen.
Precisely. Think about Andrew Carnegie. He didn't seem to waste energy asking, what if the steel thing doesn't work out? He just moved as if his grand vision for steel was already a secured reality. It was done. For a trader, this translates into how they approach their system, their edge. They don't just manage risk because, some guru told them to. They manage it meticulously because it aligns with their deeper mission. That mission might be to systematically extract profit, build a specific financial future, gain independence, whatever it is. This deep-seated purpose, it gives them a kind of spiritual immunity against distraction. That's a powerful phrase. It stops them from being swayed by the latest hot tip on social media or chasing some sensational headline. It allows them to move with a certainty that makes hesitation impossible, or at least less likely, because their actions are always serving that clear purpose. It's like a compass in the chaos of the markets, right? Guiding their technical analysis, their order execution, everything.
And it's fascinating how our sources really challenge you to boil this purpose down. Define it in just one sentence. That kind of singular focus must be incredibly clarifying for a trader. Cuts through all the noise.
Immensely clarifying.
Now, our deep dive into these powerful principles also reveals something about belief, about faith. It says faith is not something you wait for. It is something you build, like constructing something. It's put together brick by brick, act by act, thought by thought. This idea feels especially potent for traders who are constantly navigating uncertainty and that emotional roller coaster of the markets.
Yeah, the sources delve into the power of what they call autosuggestion. And again, this isn't just fluffy positive thinking, not at all. It's the disciplined, conscious act of feeding your mind specific thoughts, specific identities. Because, as these principles suggest, you're subconscious. It doesn't necessarily differentiate between what's objectively true right now and what's consistently repeated and, crucially, felt, emotionally charged repetition. So if a trader repeatedly dwells on past losses, focuses only on what went wrong, replays mistakes, they are, in effect, rehearsing weakness. They're programming failure. To build strength, to build resilience, they have to deliberately feed their mind the identity of the successful, disciplined trader they are actively becoming. It's an active process. Mental conditioning, just as rigorous as backtesting a trading strategy, really.
Okay, so it's not about ignoring reality or pretending losses don't happen. It's about speaking internally and maybe even externally the script of the man you are becoming. For a trader, this might look like daily mental rehearsals, affirmations like, I am focused, I am disciplined, I act with purpose, I do not flinch from my plan. But, as you said, it's not just rattling off words, is it? It's the conviction behind them and the consistent action that has to follow. How does a trader cultivate that deep conviction? Where does that come from?
You absolutely hit on it. It's the action. Think about Edison again. He didn't succeed because he woke up feeling inspired every single morning for years. He succeeded because his faith, his conviction in the outcome, the light bulb, was simply greater than any single failed experiment. 10,000 times, they say. But he never called them failures because his faith was anchored in that future reality. So every disciplined action a trader takes, every time they follow their risk management rules, even when it's painful, every time they stick with a trade according to plan, or meticulously review their performance after a loss without beating themselves up, that's another layer of belief. Faith, like muscle, is earned through resistance. That really nails it. When you consistently speak power, act powerfully, you weaken fear. You're replacing the old negative programming with new empowering beliefs. It happens through consistent mental and physical rehearsal. It's about training your mind as rigorously as you train your ability to read charts or execute orders.
Okay, this next concept feels like it introduces a truly pivotal moment, a real turning point. It's the idea of making a decision so absolute, so final, that there's no path left to retreat. This burning the bridge approach, it sounds incredibly high stakes. How does that translate into a trader's journey? Especially when those old, unprofitable habits, maybe revenge trading or ignoring stops, keep creeping back in?
It means consciously, deliberately removing all the fallback plans, all of them. All those quiet excuses that whisper in the back of your mind, like, well, if this trading thing doesn't work out, I can always go back to my old job, or I'll just reduce my risk so much it doesn't matter. The sources say, a divided mind is a defeated mind. And you see this play out. If a trader keeps an escape route open, even subconsciously, they activate a different part of their mind. It's the part that seeks comfort and safety, not the part that must win, that must execute flawlessly. And this subtly, or maybe not so subtly, undermines their discipline, especially when it comes to hard things like taking a necessary loss or sticking to the plan during a drawdown.
So if a trader finds themselves consistently slipping back into old, unprofitable patterns like overtrading after a loss or making emotional decisions or just abandoning their risk rules when things get scary, it might not just be weakness, right? It could actually be a lack of a single definitive decision to leave them behind.
For good. This sounds like it requires more than just willpower. It means actively eliminating distractions, maybe changing their physical environment, their routines, and consciously destroying the comfort you used to retreat to, making the old way impossible to go back to.
That's exactly right. Henry Ford, again, he exemplified this when he bet everything on the assembly line, revolutionized manufacturing. He didn't ask permission, he didn't poll his managers, he didn't try to convince all the skeptics first, he just decided. And the sources say, in that decision, he removed failure as an option. It simply wasn't on the table anymore. For a trader, this means full, unreserved commitment. Commitment to their chosen strategy, assuming it's tested and has an edge, commitment to their rigorous risk management framework, and commitment to their continuous personal and professional growth. There is no turning back, only forward, only execution, only evolution. It's about cultivating this kind of resolve where failure isn't an endpoint, it's just temporary feedback. A data point on the path to inevitable success. Like a minor drawdown is just part of a healthy, upward sloping equity curve.
Yeah, that's a powerful mindset shift. Now, it's also a powerful truth that no one truly rises completely alone. Our deep dive material really illuminates the power of the mastermind. It describes it as a mental alliance that is potentially more powerful than willpower, more potent than skill or ambition alone. This feels crucial for traders, doesn't it? Because they often work in relative isolation, battling the market and, let's be honest, their own internal psychological demons, pretty much alone.
Oh, hugely important. Your thoughts, your energy, your standards, ultimately your identity. They are profoundly shaped by the company you keep. And that includes not just people you physically interact with, but the books you read, the podcasts you listen to, the social media you consume. It's all input. For a professional trader, this means being incredibly selective, ruthlessly selective maybe, about who and what they allow into their mental atmosphere. You have to actively seek this or you must build it. You either find or you create a circle of like-minded individuals, people who elevate you, who sharpen you, who reinforce your purpose and your discipline, rather than people who distract you, promote doubt, or just validate complaining about bad beats or market manipulation.
Right. And it's not just a support group or a place to vent about bad trades, is it? The sources frame it as alignment for the sake of power, mutual reinforcement towards a higher goal. So how does a trader specifically apply that tough rule from our sources? If you wouldn't trade places with their life, don't take advice from their voice.
It's about filtering information with extreme prejudice, as you said earlier. Think about Edison again. For all his individual genius, he fostered a mental network of collaboration. He didn't surround himself with noise and negativity. Andrew Carnegie explicitly attributed his vast fortune not just to Steele, but to the mastermind group he cultivated. He was very clear about that. So for a trader, it means actively seeking mentorship or peer groups populated by individuals who demonstrate absolute clarity, unwavering discipline, and a shared commitment to building systematic profitability through precise execution, consistent review, and mutual accountability. It also means, frankly, removing people from your immediate mental atmosphere online or offline who constantly speak with doubt, who gossip, who seek comfort over growth, who blame external factors. As our sources put it, even a single weak mind in your close circle can dilute the fire you're trying to build. It can make that hard-won focus just crumble. It's really about protecting your mental and emotional energy as a strategic act. Almost like protecting your trading capital. It's that valuable.
Absolutely. Okay, embedded deep in the foundation of, well, apparently every great fortune, our material reveals a simple but profound truth. The habit of doing more than one is paid to do, going the extra mile. Now, this isn't just for business owners or employees in a traditional sense. It's presented as a profound principle for professional traders, too. those looking for consistent advancement and a real edge.
Yeah, because the marketplace and the trading arena is definitely a marketplace. It pays for impact, doesn't it? Not just good intentions or hours logged. A professional trader isn't really paid for the time they spend staring at screens. They're paid for the value they generate through their insightful analysis, their precise execution, their risk management, their ability to consistently extract profit over time. So this principle means consistently going above and beyond what is expected, not just meeting the minimum. It applies to their market analysis, their level of discipline, their commitment to continuous learning, their relentless self-improvement. The sources say the extra mile is the emptiest one, and that's why it's where all the power lives. Few people are willing to consistently operate there, especially in a tough field like trading, and that's precisely why the greatest rewards are found there.
So if a trader is truly aiming for consistent profitability and genuine mastery, they're not just, placing trades during market hours and then switching off. They're putting in those unpaid hours, doing deep market research, maybe coding indicators, meticulously reviewing every single trade winners and losers. They're actively working on perfecting their emotional control during stressful periods, constantly sharpening their technical and psychological skills. Even when nobody's watching or giving them a gold star, they're proactively seeking out knowledge, refining their craft, long after the closing bell rings.
Absolutely, that's the embodiment of it. Andrew Carnegie, the story goes, started by learning Morse code on complex rail routes way beyond what his basic job required, made himself valuable. Edison worked through thousands of failed experiments, sleepless nights, not for an immediate paycheck on each try, but to produce undeniable, game-changing value. This kind of mindset, this work ethic, it detaches you from needing immediate gratification or constant external validation, and instead it makes you indispensable, or at least highly valuable. When you consistently do more than expected, you become more than expected. You cultivate an identity of excellence. And that identity, that personal standard, it becomes like a magnet for opportunity in the markets. Whether that's spotting unique setups others miss, or adapting quickly to new market conditions, or attracting capital. It's about building a reputation, even if it's just with yourself initially, for uncompromising quality and effort.
Okay, this next one might seem a bit surprising, especially for a discussion about trading, which we often think of as a solitary, purely numbers-driven pursuit. But our sources really emphasize the importance of developing a pleasing personality, not in a fake way, but as a cultivated energy that magnetizes others and opens doors.
Right. It might seem counterintuitive at first. While the actual act of clicking the mouse to place a trade is solitary, a professional trader rarely operates in a total vacuum. They often interact with others. Brokers, maybe mentors, prop firm managers evaluating their performance, peers in a trading group or chat room. Your presence, your tone, your ability to communicate clearly, to make others feel seen and heard, it matters. It matters immensely. It's about communicating, often non-verbally, through your demeanor, your interactions, that this person is worth trusting, this person is worth following, or at least worth listening to. It fosters trust, builds valuable relationships, and that can lead to unexpected insights, collaborations, or opportunities down the line.
So just to be clear, it's not about being artificially bubbly or overly social if that's not your nature. It's more about mastering these quiet disciplines, speaking with conviction and clarity, even when discussing a tough losing streak or complex market conditions, having a calm and confident presence, especially during volatile market periods when others might be panicking, showing genuine interest in understanding others' perspectives, not just asserting your own view all the time, and maybe radiating a quiet optimism about your long-term vision and process, even when facing short-term challenges or drawdowns.
Exactly. Our sources highlight that the most powerful person in the room is not the one who talks the most, but the one others listen to when he finally speaks. Gravitas. This translates directly to how a trader presents themselves, particularly under pressure. A calm, decisive, respectful demeanor can instill confidence. Whether that's confidence in their own decision-making process when things get tough, or confidence in how others perceive them in high-stress environments. Think about communicating with a prop firm manager during a review or discussing strategy constructively within a trading group. Consistency and character in how you handle both wins and losses creates trust. It allows you to influence without arguing, to persuade without forcing compliance, and to build bridges where others might just burn them down with ego or negativity.
Wow. Okay, what a truly profound deep dive into the psychology of high performance and how directly it applies to the demanding world of professional trading. We've covered so much. Assuming success is your default operating mode, finding that definite purpose as your internal compass, building faith brick by brick through disciplined repetition, burning the bridge to old, unhelpful habits, surrounding yourself with a powerful mastermind group, consistently going that extra mile in your craft, and even cultivating a presence that magnetizes opportunity.
And the absolute key to unlocking all of it, as these timeless principles powerfully reiterate again and again, is repetition. Your subconscious mind, the driver of so much of your behavior, it doesn't really respond to one-time information or a single weekend seminar or a burst of motivation. It doesn't stick. It responds to constant, deliberate imprinting, consistent exposure and practice. You're not just listening to this deep dive to feel better for an hour or get temporarily inspired. The goal is to listen, to absorb, to apply until you become unrecognizable from the trader you were before. You are literally reprogramming your mental software brick by brick, thought by thought, action by action.
So for you, the professional trader listening right now, the journey doesn't end here with this conversation. In a way, it really just begins. It begins with that commitment to reprogramming your mental software. You are not just here to try trading, you are here to become the trader you envision.
And remember, this final provocative thought, pulled directly from these powerful principles: you are the green light. You're not waiting for permission, or for the market to give you a signal, or for some external breakthrough. You are the breakthrough. Every single action you take, starting right now, must reflect that certainty. You don't need permission to rise. You don't need external validation to begin.
Until next time, keep diving deep into what makes you unstoppable.